Opinions expressed on Carter's Corner are entirely independent of the opinions of Radio 89.7 FM's Wise Board, talented management and wonderful sponsors. Carter's Corner respects the right of each individual to hold and express an opinion unfettered by the shackles of political correctness and without fear of quivering in the quicksand of cancel culture. Radio is for entertainment, not censorship.
No, about to start. Just waiting.
Oh, you certainly are.
We're live on Carter's Corner, and I think that just gave it away who our special guest is for today. We have Senator Malcolm Roberts all the way from Canberra on the phone with us right now. So first of all, before we get into it, I'm Travis Carter for Carter's Corner. We've got Aaron Malloy across the road. And on line one, say hello, Senator Malcolm Roberts. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Travis. Lovely to be here.
Oh, it's fantastic having you on the show. We've been trying so hard for a long time to get what I like to say a real politician, a politician from the federal government onto the show. So thank you for answering our call for assistance and coming onto the show.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for the invitation, mate.
No, not a problem at all. So during the week, I'm not sure if many people are aware of this. One of the things we like to do on the show is we love to get people who don't normally have a chance to get onto the radio waves to have a talk about what's going on. So we love to give them a chance. Now, you've been in the upper house for the federal government, because you are a senator, trying to get a bill through called the anti-bail-in bill. Can you tell me about it?
Sure. It's in response to the Emergency Powers Recovery Bill, or Emergency Powers Bill of 2018 that the government and Labor combined to push through with only 7 senators in the chamber. Wow. Excuse me. And what that did was it gave APRA, the Australian Prudential Regulatory Authority, which oversees the banks, the power to do a bail-in. I'll tell you what that is in a minute. So a bailout is where a bank gets into trouble and the government takes taxpayer money and gives it to the bank to get them out of trouble. Doesn't matter if the bank's got into trouble, if it's own greed, its stupidity, its recklessness. The government takes taxpayer money and gives it to the bank, and that's a bailout.
Yep.
Now, the IMF and the G20 said that they don't like that anymore. They've done it many times, but they don't like it anymore. It's not fair to taxpayers. So what they want is a bail-in. Now, a bail-in is where a bank gets into trouble financially, and it takes money from its depositors. So anybody who has a deposit with the bank, it takes that money and it converts it into shares. So that because the bank is in trouble, the shares are basically worthless, just pieces of paper. But they've taken your money and they can get out of financial trouble.
Now,
what you then have... Sorry?
Yeah, I'm just going to quickly jump in here because you can't see Aaron's face at the moment. He's not aware about what's going on at the moment, and he is looking absolutely disgusted. So
I cannot believe.
It should be.
Look. I know that the government is, pretty well used to legalising theft. But are you kidding me? You are allowing the banks to just reach into your account and just destroy your life. Absolutely disgusting. It is pure and simple theft, nothing else.
Now, the other thing...
And it's common around the world. Cyprus has already done it. The Greeks have done it. New Zealand's just regulated it recently. I think Britain has it. I don't know, but many other countries around the world do, in fact, do this.
It's almost like the banking sector... It's almost like the banking sector seems to donate to politicians. How interesting.
Well, I wonder. That's a very, very good question. And I think it's pretty commonly known that the major banks donate to both the tired old parties, Labor, Liberal, and what happens with the bail-in. So you as a depositor, you've got a worthless piece of paper. You've got two choices: either sell the worthless piece of paper and get nothing, or hang on a few years, maybe 5 years, until it all turns around and you can sell the bank shares then for money. But you haven't got that money right now. So if you just cashed in, if you're a retired person, cashed in your super or part of your super, and you've got that in the bank, tough. You've lost it. You've got nothing to live on. If you're a farmer who's gone 10 years in droughts and bad seasons and suddenly got a bumper crop, you've got $1 million and you've just put it in the bank, tough luck. If you're a pensioner, if you're a worker, if you've got any money in the bank, you lose it. If you're a small business It affects check and savings account. If you're a small business, you can't pay your staff. That's it, gone overnight.
And cash flow is king, let's face it, on a small business level. So having that taken from your account, yeah, exactly that. You can't feed your family and you can't pay your workers. Absolutely disgraceful.
Exactly.
Now, another thing I want to quickly bring up out this, one of the things you said there was 7 senators who passed this. Now, how many senators in the federal government is there all up?
76.
So
you need a quorum of more than that.
Yeah, so how did this pass when that's not even like regular, like that's 10% of the sitting senators?
I think it was because it was sushi afternoon there in the lunchroom, so they were busy elsewhere. Unbelievable.
That blows me away. Like the government is there to supposed to regulate this and make sure that our politicians are doing the right thing. Where's the anti-corruption watchdog on this? How did they even allow this to get through with such a low number of senators?
Well, the reality is that there are many things that a senator has to do. Meetings with constituents, meeting with lobbyists, researching bills, writing speeches, engaging with his own staff or her own staff, discussions on bills with other parties. And so the day is really full. And sometimes we start at 9:30 and we finish at 9:50 in the evening. Sometimes we start at, say, 8 o'clock, and the Senate doesn't start until midday, but it finishes at 7:20. So the hours aren't short. So there's no. So it's not as though people are just sitting down idly and not going to the Senate. So what happens is, if the quorum is not there, I think the quorum's a quarter, then someone has to draw it to the attention of the president or whoever's presiding in the chair at the time, and then they call for a quorum and people rush down and away it goes again.
Yep.
But if no one calls that lack of a quorum, then it just continues. And so...
and let's be honest, they're absolutely aware that the numbers aren't there. Nobody in their mind can go, oh, hang on, that the 7 people is enough. Nobody can be that thick, quite frankly. That is just disgraceful. To me, that's just abuse of the process.
I do have a quick question as well on that one. Is there any...
if I could just answer Aaron,
go.
though.
Yep.
What happens, Travis and Aaron, is that the reality is that there are 36 Liberal National Party senators and 29, I think, Labor Party. And then there are 9 Greens, maybe less than 29, 25, I think, Labor. And then 9 Greens, 1 Centre Alliance, 1 Independent, 1 Jackie Lambie, and 2 One Nation. So what happens is people understand the way votes are going to go. Yeah, and so they just add the numbers up and they work out what's happening. So sometimes the One Nation vote is really critical because our combination with the government will get something home or not get something home. Or the Labor Party and the Greens plus one other plus us will get the Labor parties through.
Well, this has always been my point.
It's all done in advance in a way.
Okay, this has always been my point. When I talk to people about politics, I always say, always look at the minor parties. You need to give them the balance of power because obviously otherwise you can stack the deck. So this is the great thing about having smaller parties, in that position because common sense can actually come into play, and negotiations will actually happen that wouldn't happen when they've just got complete control of the place.
You're absolutely right. That is fundamental to freedom in this country, Aaron, because Labor and Liberal, let's face it, they quite often gang up together and just whistle things through. And if it was only half and half, then whoever's in the majority in government just whistles everything through, no problem. So by having minor parties, medium parties, independents, it enables a much more rigorous debate, much more rigorous, and holding people to account. And quite frankly, the Labor Party quite often helps the Liberal Party because it knows it'll be in power one day. It hopes it will be. And then it doesn't want to be burdened by the same system. So they go easy on each other. They pretend to fight really hard, but they go easy on each other.
Remember
the real accountability comes
Remember
from
the
us.
old days when we had the Democrats, the whole keep the bastards honest.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I love those ads.
So, absolutely. Now we've effectively it's really just the minor parties that are keeping those bastards honest. And so therefore, you need to support, well, I don't want to tell people how to vote, obviously, but in my opinion, it's very important to vote for a minor party, support people that promote free speech and some critical thinking, like One Nation, I guess, in this particular case.
Yes, and some of the things happen outside of outside of the Senate chamber, for example, Aaron and Travis, yesterday, even though we lost the vote on our bail-in bill, and all we did, essentially, you make two changes. We defined a deposit account, and we said a bail-in can't occur. Because there is a power in APRA, Australian Prudential Regulator, to convert deposits. There is a power there; it's already there.
Right.
And then, the first thing we did was we said you cannot convert a deposit account into using a bail-in. The second thing we said was that we cannot APRA cannot order a bail-in.
Yep.
And they were just minor changes, and our staff did a really elegant job, very, very minimal changes to the regulation, but essential. If it hadn't been for our bill, then, well, as it is, still is, because the government defeated us, APRA has got the power to do basically whatever it thinks is reasonably necessary. You define reasonable for me.
Yeah.
So depending on the circumstances, the bureaucrats will define it any way they want. But what we know is, while the government, the Treasurer, the Prime Minister, the APRA, and the Reserve Bank, and I think ASIC, all said, no, it's all sweet, no, they can't do a bail-in. The IMF, which has been pushing this regulation, said quite clearly that the regulation that was brought in 2018 by the Liberal National Government can enable APRA to order a bail-in. So all we did was we just said, let's make it bloody clear then, because the government is saying we can't do it. Okay, well, there's indecision there, so let's make it clear. Let's just minor tuning. Now, the Australian Banking Association, they said that if there's any confusion, support our bill.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There's nothing to lose. There's no power removing from APRA. There's no defining a deposit account anywhere else, so we're not affecting any other thing. The government just dug its heels in, and Labor Party dug its heels in. But in the speech, after I delivered my speech, the Labor Party and the Liberal Party were both very, very soft in their speeches. They were pulling their words, being very, very careful. And what happened today was that the Treasurer's Department, the Treasury, sent a senior advisor over and said, let's have a talk about this. And they recognise now that my argument is correct and that it needs to be remedied.
And
so
I guarantee
even though we didn't get up, it will be fixed, we hope.
And I guarantee you this won't make it to the media. So we have had a couple of questions come through. So for the listeners out there, we do have a text line. So if you do want to ask Malcolm a question, 0418 897 897. And for all our listeners over East, you can listen live at 897fm.com.au. One of the questions, or it's more of a statement, has come through, excuse me, on the text line. There's no regulatory, hang on, where is it? There is no bail-in laws for cryptocurrencies, gold or silver. So that's very, very true. There is no current bail-in laws for cryptocurrency on that. Now, are you aware, Malcolm, of any laws or plans to add these sort of bail-in laws and onto cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, I think that's the Russian one, and also onto things like gold and silver?
No, I'm not. However, that leads into the second topic that one of my staff sent you, Travis, and that is the cash ban bill.
Oh, yes, I'm
cash ban
really
bill
looking for that.
Was introduced by the Liberal Party into the lower house. And the Labor Party, first of all, when we heard about that, one of our staff monitors legislation coming in. He's very, very effective on finance and banking.
Well, I'll cut you off there for a moment, Malcolm. So we do have to go to a quick sponsored message. So what I'd love to cover the cash ban once we come back from the message.
I absolutely want to talk about this for
No
sure.
Are you happy to stick around for a little bit longer with us?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm enjoying it. That's good.
Fantastic.
Great to hear.
So what we're going to do is go to a quick message, and then we're going to have a song, and we'll be right back after that. You're listening to Travis Carter on Carter's Corner with Senator Malcolm Roberts and Aaron Molloy.